Deep inside the forgotten jungles of Blackthorn Forest where no map could guide you and no satellite signal reached 8 friends, Ava Miller, Liam Carter, Noah Brooks, Sarah Hill, Chloe Evans, Mason Reed, Olivia Grant, and Jake Turner, decided to spend a daring weekend adventure in an old wooden cabin rumored to have existed long before the forest itself. Locals warned them never to go near it, claiming the cabin moves at night and scratches from the inside, but the group, blinded by excitement and bravado, ignored every warning. When they finally reached the cabin at sunset, the air felt strangely heavy, and the forest seemed to grow quieter as they approached, as if the trees themselves were holding their breath. Ava shivered, feeling watched, but the others brushed it off, laughing loudly to drown out the creeping unease. The cabin looked abandoned, broken porch, moss-covered walls, windows clouded with age, yet something about it felt alive. As they stepped inside, the wooden floor groaned under their weight, and a cold draft blew through, although the windows were shut. They unpacked, lit lanterns, and tried to relax, telling ghost stories to break the tension. But when the old grandfather clock in the hallway suddenly chimed 2 a.m., the first scratch echoed from deep within the walls. A slow, dragging scrape. Everyone froze. Noah whispered, "Guys," that came from inside, but before they could react, the cabin shuddered violently, like something enormous had slammed against it. The doors rattled, the floorboards shifted beneath their feet, and the lanterns flickered out one by one, until only the moonlight seeped through the cracks. Chloe screamed when a long, bony hand emerged from the wooden wall itself, stretching like the cabin's arm was alive. The wall bulged outward, forming the vague shape of a face pressing through the wood as if the cabin were inhaling deeply. Before they could run, the door dissolved into the wall, sealing them inside. Liam rushed forward to yank it open, but the handle melted into the timber before his eyes. The cabin was changing shape, swallowing its entrance. The first to die was Jake Turner, the loudest one, who shouted at the cabin, kicking its walls, cursing it as cheap haunted house garbage. The cabin responded instantly. The wooden boards beneath him cracked open like a mouth, teeth-like splinters shooting upward. The ground split. Jake fell waist-deep into the floor as wooden jaws slammed shut, cutting him in half. His scream turned into a wet gurgle as his upper body slid onto the floor while the cabin absorbed the rest, the wood turning darker as if drinking his blood. Olivia vomited, trembling uncontrollably, and the group backed into the hallway. But the hall stretched unnaturally long, longer than before, the cabin expanding internally, shaping itself like a maze. The scratching resumed, now coming from the ceiling, the floors, the walls, everywhere. They huddled together, terrified. Sarah grabbed Ava's hand, whispering, "It's hunting us. Cabin is alive." Mason, trying to be brave, suggested they head to the attic, thinking they could break the roof open and climb out. They sprinted toward the stairs, but halfway up, the staircase twisted, bending sideways like a spine snapping. Mason lost his balance and rolled down, but before he could stand, the wooden steps wrapped around him like a snake. The stairs squeezed him hard, bones cracking, organs bursting. His eyes bulged as he screamed for help, but Ava and the others could only watch in horror as the staircase flattened him completely, merging his crushed body into the steps. His face remained frozen in the wood, eyes wide open, as if the cabin wanted to display him like a trophy. Olivia broke down, crying uncontrollably, but the cabin didn't wait. A window behind her stretched open unnaturally wide, and a long wooden spike shot out, piercing her back, lifting her off the ground. Her scream echoed as the window folded inward, dragging her inside the wall like a hungry mouth swallowing flesh. Her blood seeped through the wooden grain, dripping onto the floor. 3 dead, 5 remaining. The remaining friends staggered into the kitchen, gasping from panic, but the kitchen felt wrong too. The cabinets would not stay still. They kept shaking and expanding. Chloe clung to the counter, but the counter rippled under her touch. Suddenly, dozens of wooden needles burst from the cabinet doors, shooting outward like a hailstorm. Chloe was hit first. Needles stabbed through her arms, throat, and chest, pinning her to the refrigerator like a butterfly. The fridge door opened on its own, a dark void inside rather than shelves. Chloe's pinned body was yanked inside violently, her spine bending in unnatural angles, disappearing into the darkness. The fridge door closed softly, as if nothing happened. For gone, for left. The surviving for Ava, Liam, Noah, and Sarah ran into the living room, trying desperately to find an exit. But every window now showed the same scene, the cabin interior. No matter where they looked, the outside world was gone. Liam punched the glass, but his fist passed through into another room of the cabin instead of breaking the window. A loop, a trap. The walls then began to pulse like a beating heart. Noah shouted in terror, "It's breathing. The whole place is breathing." They backed into the corner, but a long wooden tendril slithered from the ceiling, wrapping around Noah's ankle. He screamed as it dragged him up. Liam tried to grab him, but more tendrils shot out, whipping Liam away. Blood rained down like mist. Liam, thrown across the room, tried crawling toward Ava, but the floor beneath him split open like a jagged mouth. A massive wooden spike erupted beneath him, impaling him through the chest. He gasped for air, reaching out for Ava, but the floor snapped shut, devouring him instantly. His blood seeped through the cracks, forming the shape of a handprint on the ground. Now only Ava Miller and Sarah Hill remained. Sarah grabbed Ava's arm and pulled her toward a back room, a forgotten storage space that looked less alive than the rest of the cabin. They collapsed inside, trembling, and for a moment, everything was quiet. Sarah whispered Ava, "If we die here, no one will know." Ava hugged her, trembling, saying, "We're not dying, not both of us." But before they could plan, the floorboards rippled. A wooden hand shot out, grabbing Sarah's ankle. She screamed, clawing at the floor, begging Ava to pull her. Ava held on, sobbing, but the cabin was far stronger. Sarah's nails scraped deep marks into the floor as she was dragged down. "Ava, don't let it take me. Ava, AVA." Her voice turned into choking cries as the wood folded over her body, sealing shut like a coffin lid. Ava screamed until her throat burned. Now she was the only one left. The cabin stopped moving, as if waiting, savoring her fear. The clock struck 2 a.m. again, resetting. The entire cabin vibrated. Ava realized the truth. The cabin didn't just trap people. It hunted every night at the same hour, resetting the moment until everyone inside was consumed. She had one chance. She staggered toward the fireplace, noticing the old kerosene lanterns and the dry wooden logs. With shaking hands, she smashed the lanterns, letting kerosene soak the walls. The cabin groaned angrily, walls ripping open, wooden limbs reaching out toward her. She grabbed 2 rocks from the broken wall and slammed them together, creating sparks. "Burn," she whispered. "Burn." The flames ignited instantly, spreading fast. The cabin writhed like a living creature on fire, its walls twisting, screaming, the floor buckling violently as Ava ran toward the window. As the flames grew, the cabin's grip weakened. Ava threw herself against the window with all her strength, and this time it shattered. She tumbled out onto the forest floor, rolling down the hill before landing on wet grass. Behind her, the cabin shrieked like a dying monster as flames devoured it, collapsing inward, burning alive. Ava screamed and cried at the same time, her body shaking violently, but she was alive. She was the only survivor. The sun rose slowly over the jungle as the fire died down. All that remained of the cabin was ash, but as Ava limped away, she heard one last sound carried by the wind, a faint scratching, as if something inside the ashes was still moving, waiting to be rebuilt. The jungle cabin that hunts at night was never truly dead. It had simply found its next prey, and let one escape to spread its legend.